Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a man who's a national champion as a hooper for Duke. And guess what he's doing now, AJ?
I think he's on the path to another one, Pat.
Isn't he? As a coach at his alma mater. There's only been 3 times in the history of college hoops where somebody's won a national championship and then guided their team back to at least a Final Four as the head coach. Ladies and gentlemen, out of Duke, White Mike, Coach Jon Scheyer.
Hey, Coach.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, I feel like I've arrived at McAfee Show with all you guys. I feel like I've arrived, so thank you.
You're in the Final Four, okay? You have arrived. Okay, let's just make sure that is understood. Not on here has anything to do with that. But congrats, Coach. Obviously, we just read off your accolades. And before we get to the team, and I'm sure the boys will have some, college hoops question and this team question. For me, I just want to go back to the White Mike story. This is how I was introduced to you. Okay, I just want to let you know that. I was introduced to your greatness via a story being told about how, Jon will come down into Chicago, and there'll be people that will be walking to go watch this dude, White Mike. And then obviously you had some time in the league, you get injured, everything goes, and you become a coach. But growing up, you were the guy, is national champion at Duke. Whenever you think about that perspective, how much has that helped you in either recruiting or in coaching? Or how much do you lean on being that dude that you were for so long now in your coaching world, Coach?
Well, you know what, Pat? I think the biggest thing for me is, I had to get outside my environment growing up. And so anywhere there was a game in Chicago, I don't care where it was, I would go. And, I think the biggest pride I found was having to find your own footing. And for me, it was just showing my game. And so I would go everywhere and play. There was nice of Pat Bev to give me that love and to share those stories. I don't know if they called me White Mike. But I think they did have respect for the way I played. And so for me, the fact that I coach guys from all over the world, play with different guys from everywhere, I think that's just helped me understand different perspectives and connect with different people.
Well, I think they did call you White Mike, and I think that type of hype is something that you have to have a lot of confidence to have being kind of said about you. And speaking of confidence, following in Coach K's foot, that is putting on those boots at that school. It's Krzyzewskiville outside. I think his office is there. It's like everything is Coach K. He's USA coach. So whoever was going to come in there afterwards had to be a very confident individual. Feels like you've been able to do it, but also in your own way. Do you feel that way? Do you think your team is vastly different than maybe a Coach K team?
Yeah, well, I think I just had to accept right away the comparisons are going to be there, but really come to terms with. I didn't have to come to terms. I knew right away I'm not Coach K. Nobody else is. And so I found just great confidence in who I am as a person. Understand you're not going to bat 1,000. I wish you were, but there's decisions you can make along the way that aren't perfect. And to be able to keep that confidence, to be able to be authentic to who you are, to me is the most important thing. And so I think for our players, they understand I'm not trying to be anybody different. I am who I am. And I think there's a lot of great things to it. I'll tell you this, though. I think we're playing modern way, modern basketball, the way we share it, the way we, play with pace and how versatile our team is, I think is really the way the game should be played and just a modern way of playing right now.
Coach, can you describe what it's like from the start of the tournament until now? Obviously, Final Four, we all know what's on the line, but you have these young guys that are unbelievable superstars, but ultimately untested when it comes to, the brightest lights, the big stage. As a player and a coach, how does every single round, does it amp up the intensity, and how do you find a way to keep your team kind of focused and dialed and not make too big of a deal of the whole situation?
I think for me, AJ, the biggest thing for our guys, fact is we play 5 freshmen, in our rotation, and all 5 of them in high school, they could have probably played at 50, 60% and still been by far the best player. And so from day one, for me, it's been about setting an expectation of understanding what the standard is, but then also preparing to be at your best when your best is required. And that's what the tournament is all about. It's not best out of 5. It's not best out of 7. You get one game. And so the fact that we were able to bring in really competitive dudes who play the right way and let you coach them, I think we've been able to create an environment on our team where they're not afraid of the moment, they're not afraid of the spotlight, and they've set a standard for themselves with how hard they play all the time. And that's what I hope you guys see when you watch us, how together we are, but most importantly, how hard we play. And I think for a young group to have that is a big time thing.
Here's a Hembo stat for you, Coach, that you probably already know or somebody on your staff has told you. Duke's freshmen have played 434 minutes in the NCAA tournament. The other three Final Four teams have combined 160 minutes by their freshmen, 163 minutes by their freshmen. But we're at the end of the year, obviously, so you feel as if your team's a bit battle-tested. You guys haven't lost since February 8th. Okay, I don't want to jinx anything, but hey, you got to win a bunch of games in the tournament to win a national championship anyway. So that just is going to have to be how it is. Talk about that guy right there. Okay, obviously we knew the main event coming out of high school because we have a guy from Boston who's been hyping him up for a while. We have Duke fans obviously scattered throughout the entire show. AJ growing up was a Duke fan. D-Bone, one of our graphics guys, a massive Duke fan. So I think there's a lot of people that have paid attention to Duke throughout the years. Getting Cooper Flagg was obviously a massive talking point. Has he lived up to everything you thought you were getting in Cooper Flagg? And every piece that I see about him, the more I like him. This dude could be in high school right now still, allegedly. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. I mean, look, we have two guys that really are a year below the class that they're in. Cooper and then Kaman Malawach. You know, Kaman should be in high school as well, you know, our starting center. And so, you know, look, both those guys, but you asked about Cooper. You would love him even more if you saw him every day, Pat. You know, the way he goes about his business, he knows no other way than to compete like crazy. You know, he's had moments where he hasn't played as well in practice and got knocked back. And the best part is he takes full responsibility. Like there's no fighting it. Like he'll come to me after some practice and say, "Man, I sucked today. I'm gonna be better for you tomorrow, coach." And first of all, he didn't suck that day. That's the first thing. But the fact that he thinks that and comes back with such a killer instinct all the time. He's one of one in that regard and so competitive. And then the other thing is he has a unique ability in game to understand what's required to win. And some games it's blocking shots. Other games it's, you know, leading us in assists. Other games it's getting 30 or 40 points. It's just a feel that I don't think you can teach.
He's fun to watch, and he'll throw hoops too all over the place. You know, it's like his handle's absurd, his shot's insane. He's able to go underneath, he'll bang, and the fact that you got two high schoolers leading your team to the Final Four, congratulations! It's unbelievable. White Mike can coach. Put a whistle around White Mike's neck. You think you guys will figure it out? D-Bud has a question for you, John.
Yeah, John, big UConn guy here, UConn alumni. We went through the last couple tournaments. Last tournament, pretty dominant, so we didn't have a lot of close calls. You guys haven't had many close calls, or either one kind of close game with Arizona. Does that worry you at all going into this Houston matchup? And what are the biggest, challenges facing this Houston team?
Well, I think, you know, first of all, when you talk about close games, I think it shows a great killer instinct when, you know, during the game there's going to be different inflection points where it can either be, you know, you think about Arizona, it was, a 7-8 point game. Alabama, the same thing with about an 8 point game with, you know, 7, 8 minutes to go, to be able to know in those moments to keep your foot on the gas and get separation. I think that's a skill. And our team has had that this year. Hopefully we can do that, but we're fully expecting against Houston. It's going to be a possession by possession kind of game. My first year coaching, you know, we get one scrimmage to go against anybody. I wanted to scrimmage Houston. And the reason I wanted to scrimmage Houston in year one, I wanted our guys to understand the level of physicality, you know, a team like them would play against, and the togetherness and the job that Kelvin Sampson does. He's as good as any coach in the country, period. So the respect we have for them is off the charts. We know it's going to be a slower paced game. We know it's going to be a physical game, still diving in them some. But look, if you look at their analytics, statistically, they're as good as any team in the last 10 years of college basketball. They're right there with anybody. So we're excited. We know it's going to be a big-time challenge, and the job they do on defense is off the charts.
You talk about Coach Sampson there. Obviously, he's been around. We've seen Houston go on many runs. The last school called him Kevin, I think, and then their social team said his name's Kelvin, and the L is actually the same one he just handed you. So they got a little swag down there, a little bit of sauce in this entire thing. ESPN Research pulled this up, John, just to make you feel young or good. Sampson and Scheyer will be on opposing benches in the semifinal. When Sampson began his first season as a D1 head coach in 1987 at Washington State, Scheyer was 4 months old. You know, so he's got a little experience.
Jeez.
He's got a little experience on you, but you know, White Mike experience. Yeah, exactly. Boston Connor has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, you got that, Duke emblem across your chest, and it says the brotherhood above it. What does that kind of mean when playing basketball for Duke, all the great players that have played there, including yourself? And will you kind of lean in to the brotherhood as you get ready for the Final Four? Will you reach out to Coach K? Will you kind of talk to some of the guys that have already been through it, or can you just pull from your own experiences enough?
No, I lean into all that. And, look, I think when you think about the brotherhood, and obviously Coach K is a huge part of that. I already talked to Coach K first and foremost. He's only had 13 attempts at, in a Final Four, 13 experiences. Besides that, he doesn't know much about being in this environment at all. But for me, I'm lucky, as a coach to still have my coach. So the fact is, we talk all the time, and I lean on him for a lot. But you think about, the Grant Hills of the world, and the Shane Battiers, and Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, is a Duke grad. I mean, the brotherhood in general, to me, is the connectivity in the sports world, but especially in basketball, is off the charts. I think the thing that sets us apart, though, it doesn't matter if you're here for 1 year or 2, 3, or 4. The amount of texts that I got from foreign players when we went to the Final Four. The text throughout the year of just being so invested in what's happening, to me, is off the charts. I'm not going to say it's better than anywhere. I can't compare it to anywhere else. This is all I know. But the passion to me is incredible that I feel from our former guys.
Seems like two young Duke guys are taking over the basketball coaching ranks. You and J.J. Redick, obviously massive talking points. It's awesome to hear you still talk to Coach K, because from the way LeBron talks, J.J. is a young Coach K in there as well. So happy to see the Krzyzewski pipeline will continue to crush. Last question before we have a hard out. We can't thank you enough for joining us here, Coach. All focus right now on Houston. Will you also pay attention to the other teams now? Are we watching film, or is this everything on one game at a time now, as opposed to what it was beginning of the tournament?
I'll let our staff take care of that. For me, it's 100% Houston, just like it's been every step of the way. AJ, to your question, it's been what's next, finishing what's right in front of us, and then going from there.
All right. Well, Coach, good luck. We can't thank you enough for joining us, man.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate you guys.
You're the best, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Jon Scheyer.
Yeah. Oh.